Alright, Teliodo champs. Now this thing here is the latest ROG Zephyrus G14 Wolf. And it's not any ordinary G14, it's a special one because this one's all AMD. And I've got to tell you right now, this thing here, it's going to be really hard to find a package this portable with this much power, battery life, you know, great display. It's just all around a great package and it's great value for what it costs. It's just amazing, this thing. And I'm just going to do a comparison here of what to expect out of this laptop for gaming. You can see here I'm hooked up to an Alienware QD-OLED monitor, which is the best gaming monitor in the world, through DisplayPort, because this does support DisplayPort out, through HDMI, which this does have, which is HDMI 2.0 or 2.0B. No, you will not be able to power this display at its full 175 Hertz. Actually, it's really a limitation of the display being only HDMI 2.0. So you have to go through DisplayPort to get 175 Hertz, 8-bit dithering, and support the native resolution. So why this is so good is because it does have an AMD processor. The battery life is amazing and such a portable package, right? There are versions of this with, you know, NVIDIA GPUs, but I reckon this thing's good because we have a low wattage CPU and a lower wattage GPU. So this comes with AMD's Ryzen 6800HS in this one. You also have a RX 6800S GPU, so up to 105 watts with the power shift there, or what do they call it, SmartShift. GPU and CPU working together, right, to give you that maximum gaming performance. Now, even though I'm outputting to this, the display on this is really nice. I'm talking about a 16x10, 1600p, 100% P3, 120 Hertz display. This has a MUX switch. This thing is just, yeah, they've done it right. They know what gamers want, ASUS, with this thing here, and they've just done it right. One stick of RAM soldered in, and it has another 16 gig stick in here, which you can upgrade. It has one slot. You can upgrade up to 32 gigs, PCI Express 4, NVMe. Now with the ports, no USB 4. That's one thing AMD, come on, we need to get these USB 4s out. But to be able to go DisplayPort out on one of the USB-Cs is amazing, and also 100 watt charging through USB-C. If you want, it's a 240 watt package as well. So 240 watt power brick, Wi-Fi 6E, and get this, only 3.6 pounds or 1.65 kilos. Now I have my own personal bigger, bulkier G15 on the right, and you can see here in TimeSpy, look how close the GPU performance is. And that G15 on the right has an RTX 3080. Bigger, bulkier, more power, and look how close it is. And if you have a look here with Firestrike, the actual 6800S blows away the RTX 3080. And we know this is an AMD test that likes this sort of thing, the Firestrike, but that is a destroyation of the 3080. So this G14 packs power. Such a powerful beast, wow. So I'll be comparing it to the Alienware F15X to see what, you know, real world you would expect with this low wattage parts compared to an RTX 3080 Ti, okay? And I think you'll be surprised, and it's no doubt that this changed the game when the first G14 come out, and they're still kicking goals, and now you get the AMD GPU. So what does that mean, AMD GPU? Well, let's do a bit of gaming here, and I have used the Alienwares on this, both the 17X and 15X, or X15 and X17 should I say, and both of those could not power this display at native resolution at 175 Hertz playing this game. You had to use DLSS, okay? Now I'm going to compare it to the X15 because that's more appropriate sort of size wise, even though the X15 is bigger. That would play this game at around the 120 mark, 115, 120. It's a lower wattage GPU than the X17, but it is a 3080 Ti with, you know, a 12700H. Uses much more power than this still. And that would play this game at about 120 FPS. So, you know, maximum 120 FPS, 115, 120, up and down, you know how it is. But yeah, that's sort of where it sits. Now I actually could get 175 Hertz out of it, or 175 frames per second should I say, to power this display, but I had to use DLSS, and I had to use ultra performance in DLSS. So ultra performance in DLSS doesn't look very good. I would definitely say it's worse than just medium settings. So I've set this to high settings, turned pretty much everything off, just high settings, textures, and we'll see how we go here and how it compares to the 3080 Ti in the Alienware X15. Let's just suck and see here. Straight away we're getting, ooh, I'm very surprised. Okay, so started off 130 frames per second. I'm not trying to play the game, just trying to see the FPS. Still getting 120 FPS. Wow, that's pretty much at the moment. No, dropping down to about 100 frames. Okay, so yeah, the other one was about 120 consistent sort of thing. The 3080 Ti that's in the Alienware, and with this we're getting more closer to about 100 frames per second. I cannot play with a controller. It's so bad. Yeah, so if I was going to say, there's going to be about a 10 FPS difference. Yeah, just in the real world, just playing this game, I can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference. 100 frames, 120 frames, like seriously, you cannot tell. But you know, just looking at this, I could see that the 3080 Ti gets about 120 consistently, and this one, it can do over 120, no problems, but it's probably more around 100, 110, somewhere around there. It dips into the 90s, whereas the 3080 Ti does not dip into the 90s. It's basically around the 110, 120, 130 mark. This one's, 90s, 110, and up to 120 sort of thing here. So good, at least 10 FPS short, 10 to 20 FPS short. We're just going to change these settings here. We're going to go to medium settings on the graphics there. The texture quality medium, let's apply, and let's get back into the game. And straight away, woof, we're doing, instead of the low 100s, we're doing 140 now, right? 120, 140. So straight away, I can tell you right now, this is how the 3080 plays. Exactly the same as the 3080 Ti. In fact, maybe a little bit more. So the real world difference, okay, considering this uses a lot less power than that package there, the 3080 Ti. The real world difference is pretty much the same performance in gaming. The only difference is I'm having to do this at medium settings with this one, and on high settings I can do it with the 3080 Ti on the Alienware. That's the difference right there. Right away, it's just one setting, going from high settings, playing exactly the same as this. Actually went up to 190 there. Woof. Shows you how much difference it makes, just the textures, right? Yeah, so this plays like the 3080 Ti now. It's just you have to put it in medium instead of having high. That's pretty much the real world sort of difference you're going to see. Don't get hung up on the FPS. It's one you got to do medium, one you got to do high, and pretty much the same performance there. So that's sort of like the real world there. Now one thing is here, I can't use DLSS, so I can't get the 175 frames per second on this particular game unless I really go down in the settings. I don't want to go below medium. That's just not going to happen. I won't go below medium. So no DLSS here, so I cannot get the 175 frames required to power this at its native resolution. But these days, there are a lot of games that support AMD's FSR, so yeah, we'll see a game that does support that and see how it goes with that. Now, I've got to tell you something that sets this truly apart from every other laptop is you could actually use this, and I actually would like to see a GPU-less version of this, so a cheaper version with no GPU that just uses the integrated graphics. That would be amazing. The best thing about this is you could disable the discrete GPU and just use the integrated graphics and still play AAA titles. So that's what sets this apart from a lot of other laptops or the Intel versions of these sort of laptops. Now, no DLSS in that Call of Duty, and I expect why would they put it in that Call of Duty, because it's an old game. But let's just see it here. We'll see it in quality mode. So AMD FSR 2.0, so this is the good one. So we're just going to leave it on quality here, and let's see, we're going to have HDR on. So let's go back, graphics, ultra. Yeah, all right, let's do ultra. Something I wouldn't usually do, but let's do it. We got HDR on. Well, it is HDR anyway. I can tell by the glowing stuff up there. But anyway, let's see how we go here. So here we are playing God of War, and what we can see there, 105 watts we're using on the GPU there. I can't get the CPU temperature, but anyway, so this is HDR FSR 2.0 on the quality settings, and not quite getting 60 FPS, but a good, nice, playable 50 FPS. Of course, you're not going to get 175 frames per second on a game like this, but this is awesome. The native resolution of this is pretty high resolution, you know, the 3000 by 1440p or whatever. It's amazing that this laptop, sort of like a thin and light sort of, you know, pocket rocket here, can actually power this game at nearly 60 FPS. And the quality, if I was gonna say, I gotta see them side by side, but when I play with DLSS, I don't think it looks as sharp as this. I don't know, I'm gonna have to see them side by side. This looks really sharp compared to DLSS, where sometimes I know as soon as I put that on, it just like, it's nowhere near as good as native. Now, let's see at high settings. Using ultra is a bit too hardcore. Let's go to high. All right, so we're on high settings now. And look at that, boom, straight away, 70 FPS. That's nice. And can I tell the difference? Hell no, I cannot tell the difference between high and ultra. So you always stick to high. There's no point going ultra, unless you've got a GPU with so much headroom in it that why not go to ultra. And let's just change this FSR down a little bit. And FSR, I'm going to see what's the best I can get. So performance, ultra performance. Okay, so that's what I use playing Call of Duty. Even with a 3090 Ti, I have to use DLSS. And on the laptops, the Alienware laptops, I have to use ultra performance to get, you know, the 175 frames per second in Call of Duty. Obviously, you're not going to get 175 here, but we should see a nice little increase here. And boom. Yeah, I can tell the difference now that it's in, you know, it's not in quality settings anymore. I can tell, but 90 frames per second. 90 frames per second. It looks a lot softer, to be fair. Games that have FSR, that's a hard one to say that. But anyway, any games that use that, you know, you're going to get great performance. Hopefully that's, you know, going forward, we get a lot more games with it. I think it's very good competitor to DLSS, and it makes a huge difference here. You know what I mean? This is high settings at the native resolution of this display. Still looks good if you ask me. So anyway, this is a great little package here. Stay tuned for more on this beast. Yeah, I really like it. I think it can't be beaten, this package. This G14, ever since the G14, if you're talking about, like, it's not going to be the most powerful gaming laptop out there, but it competes so well for the portable package it is, with great battery life. There's not many compromises to be had with this laptop, especially now that they've got a good display on it as well. So, you know, the only thing I want to see with this is USB 4. I want some Thunderbolt in there, and this would be perfect. Like, seriously, it would. So anyway, catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho.